watch this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new punk rock videos every week and tap the bell to get notified when new videos drop.
I look really small compared to you. Give me a booster seat. When we go on dates, like I get a booster seat so I can actually look down at her while I'm cutting my steak. Otherwise, I'm like,
no, you guys are like the same height. We're kind of the same height.
yeah. But the second you put those motherfuckers on,
yeah,
that's a midget. That's a midget next to you.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, I can tell because I'm 5'9", which she doesn't believe. But that's why I can tell there's a little bit of difference.
He slouches a lot.
I do slouch a lot.
Same. It's my dick. It weighs me down. Just kidding. Oh, did you record all of that?
It's been on.
That's the interview right there. I think we figured it out.
Hi, my name is Erin Micklow, and I'm here with Tony from MEST. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You guys were great tonight. We're here at the House of Blues in Anaheim. It was my first time seeing you live.
Not his though.
No.
And that's why we're doing this interview.
Yeah, and I saw you here in January for the Goldfinger and Zebrahead show because you're connected with those bands as well. So here we are again.
Yep.
Very cool. So I wanted to talk about, you do have new music you're recording, you've been working on.
Yeah. It's taken a longer time than normal.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but it's hard. The process of actually doing this record, because my buddy who I'm recording it with, my buddy Taylor, he plays drums in the band Lit.
Yeah.
And he's been producing bands and shit. We first started the venture of like, it was first supposed to be just like writing a couple songs together. And he's like, let's meet up, write some songs. And I was like, all right. And we had that talk for probably like 4 or 5 months, just randomly. We text each other and he'd be like, let's write together. I'm like, okay. Because I had never written a song with him or did any type of music with him. And then finally I was like, fuck it. I'm like, I'm just gonna cruise out there, meet up and see what it's like. And he's a friend of mine. He's a little bit younger than me, so he grew up listening to MEST. He was a huge fan. So he played drums for us, we became friends. And so went up there and we went in the studio. It was the first time for me to like actually sit down with somebody and go, hey, let's write a song.
Yeah.
Like I've written every song pretty much from scratch. Like when I worked with Feldy back in the day, he produced a lot of our shit because we were an early young band that like, it's like the trimming the fat off of the fucking song. Yeah. And you learn that pretty quick, and there's a lot of shit that John taught me back in the day that I still carry on with me, obviously. So we got together, we wrote a song, and it was like, it just fucking happened like seamlessly. So I was like, all right, that was cool. I'm like, I've never done that before, but that worked. And then like a couple of weeks went by, and then it's like, oh, let's get together again. Went back in the studio, had some ideas. I'm like, oh, this song's really cool, this song's cool, I like this band. Like we started talking about like what we like and shit like that, and what's a concept of a song and what we're trying to do. And we'd start fucking around with some chords and some melodies and stuff, and then we'd come up with like a chorus and a melody, and we'd nail that first. And then once we had the concept of the chorus, what I was gonna write about, and the melody, I'd go outside and smoke about like 10 cigarettes, and he would demo out the guitars and the drums, just demo it in pre-production, and come back in, do the chorus, and continue writing. And we would take like 12-hour days and just write songs from scratch. And it's the first time I've ever done anything like that. And I think it was because although he plays drums and Lit, he's also like a songwriter and plays guitar. He's an all-around fucking good musician. And it was like that vibe where he was a fan, so he knew what to do properly. Like he wasn't trying to make me do something that I, step out of what the MEST world was. And we're like, let's make a MEST record. Yeah. So it's like, we'll do a MEST record, but we'll make it a better MEST record. And so like we really got into like every fucking part of every song. We'd like, he's fucking ADD dude like I am. So it was like, he'd be like mixing shit and I'd be like over his back like, are you ready? Are you ready? And he's like, dude, hold on. I'm like, I have this thought in my head. He's like, write it down. And I have to like write shit down because it was nonstop. Just like, my brain will work so fast and so does his that he's trying to do shit while I'm trying to do shit or think of stuff, you know, like, but that was what my life was for the past year and a half, I think. And I live far as fuck from him. So like I was driving up to Beverly Hills, like we did the record in this house on the top of Mulholland, which Feldy's house used to be on Mulholland too. And like I remember reading on TMZ once that Marky Mark had sold his house. And I was like, that's a fortress, that's not a house. And he sold it for like $56 million or some shit. And I'm like, I'm gonna see where it's at because he was like doing something at the time. And I look it up and I'm like,
oh my God, was that the house you were recording at?
No, but I walked outside and looked over the hill and I was like, I've been looking at Marky Mark's fucking house this whole time and had no fucking idea. Yeah, it was like that. That's where those houses are. But yeah, we're done. Finally finished it like 2 weeks ago or so. I was there, I think the last time I saw you, Mod was there, Mod's son.
Yeah.
And we said what's up to each other and he was like, what's going on? I'm like, I got the new record, this and that. And he's like, you know Mod, he's like the most positive fucking energetic dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fucking great, dude. I'm like, I think it's probably the best MEST record ever. And I'm like, but I don't want to be that guy saying that because I'm like fucking 28 years in and it's like 8 records later and it's cliche to be like, this is my best record.
Yeah, but you grow all the time, so I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a fair thing to say if
but
you have a growth mindset.
And it's not like the best record, like, oh, we just evolved and like started listening to like Beatles records or like fucking, you know, we went into this deep dive of music and it's just like, no, we just wrote the roots of what we grew up listening to and was like, let's just fucking be who we are and write the best record we can with being what we are and what, you know, the fans like and what and it just ended up being, I think, I mean, I don't know. I think it's the best record we've made.
So with Modson being on one of the new songs, did that happen in January when you guys connected at the show here?
Mod's not on one of the new songs.
I thought he was.
Mod's on one of our old songs actually that we never released.
Oh, okay. So you knew him before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I became friends with Mod like fucking 4 or 5 years ago. I think before like he had met Feldy and did that whole project. Mm-hmm. I knew who he was. I saw him at like Warped Tour, like sitting in a beer tent one time by himself, like all fucking Mod hippied out and shit. And I was like, I should go say what's up to him. I'm like, he's liked a couple of my photos. I'm like, so I think he knows who I am. And I know who he is, but I didn't do it. And then I posted a photo of like me and Lars from Rancid, like at like a Warped Tour or something. And he hit like on it. And so I wrote him, I'm like, I'm gonna see if like he's got like a fucking, what's the shit on Instagram where like people, a bot? And I'm like, I'm gonna see if it's a bot or if it's actually Mod. So I'm like, yo, I'm like, you like Rancid? He's like, oh, I fucking love that band. So we started talking. And then he's like, I love MEST, man. And so we became friends, you know, just through conversation. And then when we did the last record, I was like, yo, you want to be on the song? I go, it's a different song. And I go, so we're sort of looking for an artist that sort of does his own thing to be on the song. And he's like, yeah, send it over, man. So I sent him the song. And when he wrote that bridge, it was insane to me. Like, it's probably will never be heard. But
Why, though?
It's the song These Streets, which was on the Masquerade record, which is that weird, it's just the one, like every fucking record we do, we have one song that doesn't make sense on the record.
Yeah.
Like we have Reasons on the one record, full reggae song that Monique from Save Paris sang on. We just have always had that one song, and I'm like, this is the song. And so when he did the bridge, because there was already a bridge, and I took everything out and I said, here, you do your fucking thing.
Yeah.
And he sent it back to me. It was some weird shit where like he probably just like listened to what I had written and then put his spin on it. But he sang some shit and some lyrics that connected to me, like where I was like in my backyard listening to it. I'm like, fuck, dude, like he didn't know what the fucking song was about, right? And I was going through some shit at the time that connected to the old lyrics, and it was like all of a sudden he wrote these lyrics that were in the now of like what I was going through, and it was like this weird, like, and I'm like I was getting like choked up. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker, like this weird little fucking hippie kid, somehow listened to my song and wrote better lyrics than me and connected to my feelings more than I was doing it. I remember, and I wrote, and I'm like, dude, that is the best shit. I'm like, I was fucking stoked on it, and it sucks that we've never released it, but politics. I shouldn't say politics. We were trying to figure out a release date, and it was after he had gotten signed, so I didn't want to fuck with his shit. So it wasn't politics.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, can we push this back to Sunday? And I said, we can release it whenever the fuck you want. I don't care. Because we already released the normal version anyways. What really fucked it up was 2020. That's the reality of it. Because we had a bunch of songs that we were going to do a deluxe version of the record, and once 2020 happened, we weren't touring or doing anything, so it was like, why are we going to just release this music without a reason to release? And then it got pushed back, and then all of a sudden we had a bunch of songs, including that one. And it was like, all right, well, it's going to sit in the fucking...
And so those songs, that's the album that you're planning to release this year? Or was that the album, the 2020 album that you released?
That was a 2020 record.
Okay.
Because we recorded 15 tracks for it and only released, I don't know how many songs on there, I think 12? Are 12 on Masquerade? 12.
Yeah.
So we had 3 extra tracks. And then 3 extra tracks, and then the remix of that song, These Streets.
Yeah.
So.
That sucks. But
I'll just release it. We actually did a video for it, too.
you should just release it. Just put it out there. Just put it out now.
I know.
Manifesting, that you're big on that. So can we talk about that? Like, you talked about that you felt like, you know, basically what launched MEST was the Warped Tour, and you felt like you manifested that. I heard in another interview you say that you just said you were going to be on it, and then 3 years later you were on the tour.
Yeah, there was 2 really weird fucking manifestations that I've accomplished in my life, which was, we started going, when Goldfinger was touring a lot. I was a big fan of Goldfinger as a kid. And I'd go to the shows and just fucking see the dudes outside. And they'd be like, the same shit, just like, here's my record.
Yeah.
Bother them, you know. Here's a fun story that John probably doesn't remember. So they played Fireside Bowl, a surprise show in Chicago. Fireside Bowl on the north side was the punk rock club. They played a show, they were doing 2 shows that day. And one of them, my buddy's band, Show Off, opened up for. But I had met John previous to this show, where it was probably like the fucking get away from me type of shit. But he was like, yo, next time we come to town, you guys can play with us. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, scurried off, like, hey, we get to fucking play with Goldfinger. And my band's like, you're an idiot. And I was like, I know. But he said we could, so I take a man
you
by...
said it, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah, I take a man by his word. So so then when I saw him at the show, after they were done playing, it was this fucking bowling alley, tiny little stage, you know. And I go, hey man, I go, that was awesome. But I go, you said next time you come to town that we could play with you guys. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry man. He goes, here, keep in touch with me. And he takes out a pen and he writes down his fucking home phone number, which I would never do.
Yeah.
to some fucking kid who's just like, you said this last time I was there, right? Like, you know what I mean? And now I remember going up to Darren and talking to Darren, the drummer, and talking for a second. And I go, hey, by the way, we're going to play with you guys next time you're in town. I go, John gave me his number. And he looks at it and he just looks at me. He's like I could see the shock on Darren's face. Like,
Look at that, it was actually
what
his
the
number.
fuck? Yeah, like. So, with that being said, I was then, I don't know where I was going with this, but either way, I'll finish the story. I remember I was at a party, and one of the fucking kids that lived in the neighborhood came up to me and he goes, yo, he goes, so I thought you were opening up for GOLDFINGER next time they're in town. I go, yeah. And he goes, well, they're coming to House of Blues. And I go, oh, I didn't know. I go, all right, I'll call John. And he was like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah. So the next day I just called John and I go, hey man, you're coming to town. He goes, yeah, here, call Reese. This is his manager, who was our first manager. He goes, call him, and he goes, I'll hook it up. And then we got to open up for him. I don't know where that story was going or why I started the story, but there's a fucking, oh, so manifesting. Thanks, my wife mouthed me.
Yeah.
Manifesting.
Sometimes you just have to be really, really persistent.
Yeah,
You have to be
right.
persistent, and you just have to believe that you have it before you have it.
Right. So with that being said, the thing is, our first demo record that we did that John heard and sort of liked, we'd be driving to the studio when I was like 17 years old, and in my brain, this is before John was a producer, before he was an A&R guy, anything. I always liked the band, and I was like, I always liked the production of their records, which wasn't John. It was, I think, the guy that did the Pearl Jam 10 record, did their first record. Or no, maybe they did Stomp and Ground. Whatever, look it up, figure out who it is. But I liked the production of it. And I was like, I want a production to sound like this. So my brain, 16 years old, going to the studio, I was like, I'm in my head, I'm like, it'd be so cool to be going to the studio and having John produce our record to make it sound like that first GOLDFINGER record. And this is years before he became a producer, so like, all of a sudden, it was 3 years later, and John's calling me at my girlfriend's house at like 2 in the morning. He's like, hey, are you still in MEST? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, so I worked out a demo deal. It was 2 in the morning in Chicago. And he calls me at my girlfriend's house because I wasn't home. And it's John filming. I'm like, what the fuck? And like my girlfriend's mom's like, there's this guy, John, on the phone for you. And he's like, it was weird. He would call me at my work. I worked at this place called the Martinique, where like all 15 of us, all of our friends worked, and my girlfriend at the time, her mom was the manager. And I'd get phone calls, and her mom, who's a good friend of mine, she'd be like, hey, there's a John Feldman on the phone, come in my office. And he'd call me at like my girlfriend's fucking, at my work, but then, and I'd sit there and just be like, yeah, and he'd be like, okay, so we would talk business.
Yeah.
And I was like a 17, 18-year-old kid. It was fucking weird. But.
No, but that's some of the best kind of coaching you can get, you know, the mentoring.
Absolutely, no, 100%. It was just all of this shit that I sort of thought about, even with like John, completely like, I made up in my head when I was like 16. 3 years later, he becomes an A&R guy and a producer, and it was like, oh, that worked out.
Yeah, that's cool. You're still friends to this day.
Yeah.
Fast forward a bit, the song that you hate to talk about, but
Nope.
I heard you say in another interview that it was because the record label pushed that song.
We're not going to talk about it, or...
What, the record label pushed it. You've said that you don't feel like it's a good representation of the band, so you don't play it anymore. And that's fair. So how did that really happen? I mean, it was like, shit, we're on the radio now, but it's like the song was a joke. And it was... People didn't take it that way. I thought you were being serious.
Story's been told too many times. Story's been told too many. To me, it's not worth talking about.
Yeah, and that's just what it is, I guess.
You know what it is? If you
True
listen...
or false, though? Is that the short and long of it, of that? It was a joke song, the label pushed it, it popped on the radio, and everybody thought you were being serious.
It didn't pop on the radio. If it popped on the radio, we wouldn't be doing this interview right now. I'd be fucking up in Beverly Hills on that fucking house that Marky Mark lives in, next to John Philman's house. No, it didn't pop on the radio. That's the thing. Which I'm fucking glad it didn't pop, because then we had to bust our ass to tour and build a grassroots following, and can come and play House of Blues when I'm 42 years old,
Yeah.
and fucking hit notes and fucking have it go silent and hear the crowd fucking singing all the words, you know? Like, it made us work harder, and here's the thing though, like, I've had so many friends in other bands are like, dude, just play the song. Like, it's a good pop song. And I go back and listen to it and I go, I'm like, it's not that bad of a song. If we would have produced it, like, we were doing a lot of that clean sort of sound, which is my leg's going numb. Oh, they're not meant to be in these tight of pants or leaning this way. Wake up. In a way, I'm glad the song didn't, well, if the song had worked the radio, we probably would have been able to release like another song like Drawing Board, which we did have a lot of shit where I met a lot of, that first year of going around and touring, you met a lot of fucking radio people.
Yeah.
And every motherfucker that worked at every radio station was like, you shouldn't have released What's the Dealio, you should have released Drawing Board. And I'm like, I agree, but I'm not the one fucking writing the checks and doing all that shit.
Yeah.
That's why we released that Drawing Board on Destination Unknown.
Yeah.
To be able, because every radio guy was like, this should have been the song. We're like, all right, well, let's put it on the next record. Obviously. Fuck, here's another one. So, in the year of 1994, band formed in 1995, came up with the name in 1994. There's a fucking fun fact people don't know. I was sitting at my cousin Matt, the original bassist, I was sitting at his sister's house, Chrissy, 14 years old, drunk, sitting at a kitchen table. There was a case of Milwaukee's Best sitting on the table.
Okay.
And we had tried to come up with some band names and we couldn't come up with anything. And then I was looking at it and I think like Bush, that band, they were already out, which was the other beer that we drank, like shitty cheap beer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we should name our band after like beer. And then I took the M from Milwaukee, put it over the B.
And there it is.
There it is.
I was doing a TikTok live.
It's not bad though. For most band names, it's pretty fucking interesting.
No, I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, what the fuck is that? And like, it was funny today, I was doing a live stream on TikTok doing my hair, and the title of it was, you know, spiking my hair for MEST, and everybody was like, what's a MEST? And then people are like,
Evidently.
What's a MEST?
Yeah, your crowd does not know who we are.
And then it was rumored too of like MEST, like messed up, like.
You know what? Here's a fun story for you too with the band name. I'm in an elevator. We're playing a radio show. Andrew WK's playing. Remember him? Right?
Yes.
So we're in an elevator together, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, what's up, bro?" I'm like, "You're playing this festival." I think this is 2002, so it's pre-Warped Tour when we both did it together.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you're fucking Andrew, party fucking dude." And I'm like, "We're doing the show together." And he's like, "Oh, cool, man." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Tony. I sing in a band called MEST." And he goes, "Holy shit!" He goes, this is his words, not mine, so you can fucking quote me on this. Before he became Andrew WK, he had a character drawn up. They were going to be called The MEST, spelled the same way, and they had a character and everything. I'm assuming like a circle jerk style character, and they looked it up and figured out we had already been signed, had the band name MEST established, so he just went to Andrew WK.
fits for what he's
That's a
doing.
fucking great. That's a. I mean, you don't
And Mest
forget
fits
Andrew
what he does.
WK is like. That's a fucking great name. But I've been told like what we did with the band name Mest, it was stuck a little bit. So.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I mean, honestly, when I was first introduced to you guys, you didn't sound like what I thought you would sound like given your band name. I was like, what are they, like a crust punk band?
Yeah, you would like want to sound like towards like Circle Jerks and like fucking right. That makes sense. I get
just thought
it.
you'd be like on a, like this. You sounded like you would have been a crust punk band, like
Yeah.
Super Screamo or
Yeah.
something. And I was
I feel it. I feel you. I get it.
I think my friend outside, he gave you some cigars, and he was the one that
Yeah.
like, I met him at an event a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, I have a punk show on YouTube, and he's like, oh, you know the band Mest? And I was like, no, I don't.
I do not.
Like, I didn't at the time, and then
Yeah.
that was where the whole thing about your band started, and then this man was like,
They're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I like when you talk to John about the band too, and you were like, no, like people like the band. He was like, yeah. It's awkward as fuck, right? Yeah. It was weird. I saw it. Shit was awkward. We talked about it, we watched it, we were like, that was weird. That's strange.
maybe he's just produced too many people, he's forgotten everything.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
He's
I'm
just
like,
like,
I've been to it.
yeah.
I was like, I was at your wedding. Really Fish was playing. No, that's what we love. John's like the real life Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Like that is John, for sure. Like we've said that. I love John. He's an awkward, strange man, but he loves what he does and he's passionate, and that's what makes John John.
Yes, he's eccentric.
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well, so you have two beautiful children. Let's talk about your dad.
Yeah.
How has that been for you? What are some of the biggest challenges? And the best parts of it. You're a very proud dad. You brought your children out on stage tonight. Your beautiful wife.
Well, my daughter, 11 months old, she absolutely loves coming to shows. It's crazy. Like, I mean, the first show she came to, she's 3 months. I mean, so, like, I don't even know how many shows she's been to. Follow her, Rebel Phoenix Rocks on Instagram. The adventures of a 11-month-old little baby going to shows. Yeah, we started bringing her shows. I'm like, well, we're gonna go to shows and like see some friends here and there. And she just took to it really well. We're like, okay, we're good. Like we can bring her to shows.
Yeah.
And then she took to it even more, and it's just her thing, dude. She loved. I brought her out on stage. The fucking doors had opened.
You did the Lion King thing.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that. Somebody brought it up to me, and I go, it felt very Lion King. It was like 100%.
I was just waiting for someone to go,
Right?
yeah.
You know what? It's fucking funny is that we need to program that in Jessica's keyboards and fucking have him hit it and then fucking.
I'm like that with my little dog.
Yeah. But so before, when the doors had opened and nobody was playing yet, but there was like a couple hundred people in here. So I brought her out on stage, and she walks out there and like it's like she knows it. I was like, this would be funny. So I set her on like where the side fills were, and I was like, I just wanted her like to walk across the stage because me and my bassist were standing. He's like, how funny is it if like people are standing there and they look over and there's just this baby walking across stage. Yeah. She only walked out a little bit and then like looked at everybody, but like looked at the lights and just started fucking dancing. Like she knows that music's gonna be played, you know, like she's all about it and starts waving to the crowd and shit. It's a really cute fucking video that we have.
But what do you think their musical career will be? Because if they decide they want to become musicians, what are you going to do when it's not punk?
Oh, I don't give a fuck. I mean, me and my son made a song. Hey, what was the London? We made a song the other day. Come here. Real quick. Come over. Where's your hat at? Mommy fucked up your hair, so put your hat on. There you go. Don't kick over my drink, bro. It's okay. So we recorded a song the other day, the music, and what did we base it off of? What's the game that you like?
I don't want to embarrass myself.
You're not gonna embarrass yourself. What do you mean? It's just music.
No, this isn't going on YouTube, right?
No.
It's not?
No.
Sure?
Yes. So what is?
This ain't going on,
No. So what's the song that? What was the video game or the music that was?
I'm gonna only use the short term.
Okay.
F and F.
F and F. So we made a song. Are you in the shot? There you go. All right, thanks, buddy.
He's like, I'm embarrassed. I'm
So-
so shy.
He came in the studio with me and he does this. He plays this certain video game, and I was like, let's try to find the sounds and made a little song. He's just like, he's really talented. He knows, like, he can sing in key and he knows all the notes of everything. Like,
Yeah.
And I think my daughter will probably be the same way. We'll see. I mean, unless she's like her mom, then fuck no, she won't. Terrible singer.
I am too. It's okay.
Great smile, terrible singer.
This is why I just talk to the artist.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't-
it.
You don't sing.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm going to close with that, and I want to say thank you so much for giving me some of your time tonight.
You're welcome. I'm not sure we accomplished anything.
I think we did. We accomplished things.
What's up, guys? I'm Tony from MEST, and you're watching Last Rockers TV.